Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jocelyn Sebastian, and I will be presenting this data overview. Once again, my name is Jocelyn Sebastian. I am a third grade teacher at Park Street Elementary in Marietta City Schools. And this presentation is intended for the school improvement team as well as the admin team. Today, I really want to focus on milestones data. We're going to be looking at third, fourth, and fifth. But more than anything, I want to look at how third grade compares to those upper grades throughout the years. Through this presentation, some questions I would love for you to ponder on is how can we best support our third graders in reading to help better prepare them for upper grades? What trends do we notice in our ELA milestones data? And what other data should we analyze to better serve our students? Again, this presentation is intended to help our third grade students in preparing them for upper grades. A lot of times we hear that these students are not prepared for these grades, and so they just keep falling behind and behind. So I want to look at this information and see what we can do to better serve them. So to start, I would love to look at an overview of the school. This is the enrollment of students over the past 3 years. As you can see, it has declined year by year, but it hasn't been a significant decline. So I would say that it is about the same each year. Looking at um, the enrollment of students within specific subgroups, as you can see, over the past 3 years, our limited English proficient students have always been in the high 50th percent. So that tells us that our school has a lot of uh, is in need of a lot of ESOL services. Um, and looking at students who are eligible for free or reduced lunch, it is always in the 90th or more percent, which tells us that a large population of our students are economically disadvantaged, which also plays into our school being considered a Title I school. Students with disability, there was a slight increase from 12% to 15 to 17% over the past 3 years. So as we are seeing a slight increase, though it is relatively in the same area. And then comparing female and male students, it's usually always 50-50. There's not a giant discrepancy between one gender and the other. Looking at our student population based on ethnicity, um, again, looking at this chart, you can see that a high percentage of our students over the past 3 years have been Hispanic or Latino. Um, that has stayed relatively the same. The next highest subgroup being Black African American students, and then our smallest groups being white, multiracial, and Asian students. So, looking at this, our school is kindergarten through fifth grade. So, this information tells us that we have a diverse student population with significant linguistic and economic needs. So, this emphasizes the importance of differentiated instruction and targeted academic supports. Looking specifically at an overview of the school, we have 56 full-time teachers. It is a small student to teacher ratio, which is really good for our population. Um, when we're comparing reading and math proficiency and performance, we can see that there is a large or very noticeable discrepancy between how proficient our students are in reading and in math. So for reading, we're ranked in the 1039th percentile, in math, 566th percentile. In reading performance, we are considered well below expectations, and in math performance, we're well above expectations. So we really need to look at this data and see how we can close that gap so we are just as proficient in our reading as we are in our math. So, diving into the information, this is the 2023 ELA milestones outcomes for third, fourth, and fifth grade. So, as we can see, we have a high percentage of beginner to developing in each of these grades and a low percentage of proficient and distinguished students. So to be considered on level or to be proficient in that grade level content, you need to be scoring between a proficient or distinguished. So as we see a high percentage of our students in third, fourth, and fifth grade not meeting those levels. Going on to the next year in 2024, um, again, we still see the same high percentage in beginning and developing scores rather than proficient and distinguished. We see a huge jump in beginning scores comparing that to the 2023 scores. So for third grade, it was 42%, fourth grade, 51%, and fifth grade, 38%. And in 2024, we had 55% beginning in third grade, 43 in fourth, and 38 in fifth grade. Comparing this to last year's milestones outcomes 2025, um, again, we can see that that beginner is still the highest in each grade level. We did have, again, developing is the second level high, where distinguished and proficient are our lowest levels. So I really wanted to look at each grade level from the previous years up to the 2025 ELA milestones outcome, and I wanted to compare it to the state to just see where we are compared to state scores. So for this is the information for third grade. As you can see, third grade at Park Street has a higher beginner level than the state, comparing 39th% to 37th. Looking at the next level, developing, again, we had a higher percentage of 35% compared to 28th. And once it gets to proficient and distinguished, we see smaller percentages in our population compared to the state population. So our population had 14 and 3%, whereas the state population had 24 and 11%. Looking at the fourth grade data, we see basically the same things, um, where beginner and developing students had a higher percentage compared to the state, so 46 and 29% compared to 31 and 30%. And comparing that to the proficient and distinguished students in at Park Street, fourth grade students were 16 and 9% compared to 26 and 14%. And this is for the fifth grade data. This one looks a little better. Um, we see that there was a high beginner, 41 compared to 24%. So this is almost, it's kind of telling us the same thing throughout each grade level, that we have a high beginner level compared to our distinguished and proficient. So since we are focused on reading and how we can improve those scores, I wanted to look at our reading at or above grade level for this past year in 2025. So this is comparing the state percentage to Marietta City schools in general compared to Park Street. So as we can see for third grade, Park Street had a lower percentage of students who were reading at or above grade level compared to the district and the state for really the past 3 years. We see the same thing in fourth grade and we see the same thing in fifth grade. So we are continuously performing below grade level, when compared to the district and the state. And the district, in some cases, is performing better than the state. Some strengths that I did notice is that though third grade had a dip in 2024, the data was making a slight improvement. And in the last 2 years, you see the percentage of third, fourth, and fifth graders at the beginning level decrease. So, though you see that we have a high percentage of red or beginner level, it is slowly decreasing each year. So, we hope to continue to see that at a higher rate. Some weaknesses that I did notice while looking at this information is that fifth grade shows a decrease based on the milestones outcome in students reading at or above grade level. So we see the same trends with fifth grade throughout each school year. And overall, Park Street continues to underperform when compared to the district and state scores. So, what are some steps that we can take to improve this information? I really believe that we need to be providing more fluency practice during science and social studies, even because an increase in fluency can also increase in comprehension, which is something our students really struggle with. So, the better that they're able to fluently read, the better they're able to understand the text. I also believe that we need to give grade level comprehension skills in texts that meet the students at their level. So if students aren't able to read at a third grade, fourth grade, or fifth grade level yet, giving them those lower level passages, but continuing to reinforce those grade level comprehension skills. We need to continue to use formative assessments to teach and reinforce grade level content, whether that be whole group, small group, or one on one interventions. And something very beneficial for our students would be a very big emphasis on vocabulary and morphology lessons because our students, being such a high percentage of ESOL students, that could go a long way in their comprehension and understanding what they're reading. Thank you so much and have a great day.